So yesterday, Tether announced it has a brand new accounting firm, one of the top 5 ranked in the world, called BDO Italia. And today it has published its first report reaffirming the stablecoin issuer's reserve breakdown as of June 30th this year. Stablecoin reserves, specifically Tether's USDT reserves, have been scrutinized quite a few times by regulators, stakeholders, and journalists, mainly asking how much out of the billions in reserves were made up of commercial paper, which are unsecured short-term debt issued by corporations or financial institutions. BDO Italia has confirmed a 58% decline in Tether's commercial paper holdings from the last quarter to $8.5 billion as of June 30th. And in another statement, Tether said its goal is to drop commercial paper reserves to 200 million by the end of August and 0 by the end of the year. The company also said that BDO Italia will be publishing attestations each month rather than once per quarter, as it has been doing so far. It has also said that changing its accounting firm and publishing these monthly reports is the next step towards a full independent audit, which would look at the company's financials over a period of time instead of the snapshots we're given with these attestations. Regulatory scrutiny aside, Tether has had quite a rough year. USDT lost its peg to the dollar in May, just as Terra was crashing, but has regained it since. Meanwhile, total USDT reserves are down some $16 billion in the second quarter to end up at around $66 billion. So I should be in jail for throwing so many numbers at you guys on a Friday, but before I go, it seems like this is a real push to increase credibility and trust in the company after quite a bit of drama. But I've seen some chatter on Twitter that folks might not be buying into it. So interested to hear what you guys think. Adam, I'm going to give it to you first.
You know what? I'm actually going to let Zach go first on this. And Zach, go ahead and take this. I'll follow up.
I'm taking it. I beg to differ. I think it's been a fantastic year for Tether. Whatever the stumbles are that Tether has faced this year, pale in comparison to whatever past stumbles and whatever else has gone on in the world of stablecoins, has made Tether look pretty darn solid. Crazy to say it, but this is indeed the narrative that is emerging around Tether, right? This is a trusty, huge asset in the crypto world that has proved pretty resilient despite some momentary peg slippage and other things that have popped up along the way here in 2022. But yeah, algorithmic stablecoins imploding massively and leading to all sorts of weird contagion and massive pain, that's made asset-backed stablecoins like Tether and certainly USDC look pretty damn good by comparison. So I beg to differ on the point that Tether's had a rough go of it. I think indeed they seem to be coming out looking pretty decent. But hey, I'll toss it to Adam for his thoughts.
Yeah, so my disclosure with Tether, as usual, is that I was involved in the early stages back in 2014 of the profiling and specification for Tether. I did not actually work on or launch the project, but I do have that in my past. So with regards to the current moment that we're in with it, you know, I've long said that Tether is a significant indicator on the road to boring for crypto, where crypto just becomes this like thing that you don't have to think about. It just is, you know, in the same way that we don't think about money for the most part, except for when it's not working very well. You know, so this increase or this decline in, you know, in the amount of effectively what we're talking about is how does USDT manage the treasury, right? Because for each of their dollar peg tokens that's out there, they're supposed to have $1 of assets. And really, people would like it if they had one actual dollar. Now, the challenge with having one actual dollar is that the way that Tether makes their money off of the operation of the Tether protocol is in large part by managing those reserves and by investing them into things that even if they're in something just like a US Treasury, well, Tether doesn't pay interest on reserves to people who hold their tokens, which means that they keep all of the funds that they can generate basically off of those reserves as their profit. And if you look at how much reserves they have, even after, you know, even with losing some market share in percentage terms to USDC, mostly USDC over the last, you know, year or two, they still have tens of billions of dollars of assets under management against which they can collect these fees and this interest, right? So that's the question is, how much risk should Tether as a company put the reserves at in order to gain that profit? What is a reasonable amount of profit we should expect for them to earn off of that? they were investing it in commercial paper, a lot of commercial paper. And commercial paper is basically loans to companies, which is not a terribly secure way to actually manage the reserves. And so as transparency has become more prevalent, both because they've been forced to provide some transparency, which let us see into those books for the first time, and then also because USDC as a competitor in their space has been also doing transparency, it's forced Tether to up their game and to really reduce the level of risk that takes place within these dynamics I've been talking about. So that's, I think, what this moment is today. It's a continuation of the trend that we've largely been seeing since USDC started to matter and started to kind of bite at the market share, that Tether for so many years was really the only player with any significance. So that's my take on it. I'm going to kick it over to you, Jen, for last words.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take our audience down a quick trip down memory lane so you know what we're talking about as we talk about how Tether got to this space. So 2017, a lot of scrutiny, right? Then Tether kept promising an audit, but we haven't seen an audit. 2021, they reached an $18.5 million settlement with the New York Attorney General. They accused them of misrepresenting their reserves. They didn't deny and they didn't admit. They just paid the fine. February 2021, they started providing quarterly attestations. In July, BDO Italia took over these attestations. Now they're being published monthly. I think we can see when we look at the history here how we got to this point where Tether is being forced to be more transparent. And they've made a lot of, I would say, good business decisions along the way, especially given what we've seen happen to stablecoins over the past few months. So I think they've done a really good job at staying ahead of what's happening, being more transparent, looking at what's happening in the industry and reacting to that. So I don't know. I think this is a great story.